So you'll if I'm cause I ramble a little bit, you'll tighten. No. YouTube wants it all.
All right, all
We're
right.
we're not tightening this shit up. All the breaths are staying in. This is raw, unmitigated YouTube
All right.
nonsense.
This was a very high-end, valuable film, educational film. We had, from the film.
We're gonna not be able to say the word because my goal is to have this make money. I don't know how, so I can't put you in the title.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I have the title is gonna be interviewing YouTube's most controversial documentarian.
Ah.
Uh, you know?
You think my title is demonetizable? My name?
Uh-huh.
Really?
Because you know what I put in? I put your name and I put EDP's name. I'm gonna talk about what happened to my video because I can.
It's funny. My Google panel got my Google result. I'll get it back. But while you used to, when you Google my name, there was like a Google panel.
Uh-huh. You got rid of the panic?
But now they've reduced my panel down to here because to be like the whole thing.
Hey guys, welcome to my channel. This is Stephen A. Sarch Talks. Today we are joined out in the wilderness with a very special guest. This is Mike Clum. He is a professional documentarian, which you may know from such classic films as That Screwed Up Boogie Doc or The More Screwed Up EDP Doc. Thanks for joining me on this random park bench.
Thank you for having me here in beautiful New York City.
Yes,
It's time in Central Park for me. I've never actually been in Central Park.
I find Central Park to be a gorgeous place, but you can kind of get overwhelmed by the amount of people. But thankfully, we have found ourselves a nice little siloed area. You may also know that we have two different angles and things are way higher production value than they usually are on my channel. Purely because I am a journalist and need to mention this stuff. Mike has been so gracious to give us a lovely tech and multiple camera angles so that we can have a fruitful and journalistic conversation. Okay, editing Stephen here. I just wanted to add a few caveats just because I'm not sure it comes across in this video. So Mike flew in just for this interview and spent about $300 on a cameraman who he found off of Craigslist to come film, and then also got me about a $50 dinner afterwards. I just think as a journalist, it's important to kind of share my biases when it comes to this sort of stuff. Also, Mike is a very smart businessman who really knows how to control the cadence of a conversation. And I think that kind of shows in this interview. But I hope that as a journalist, I was kind of able to hold my own. And this is a fruitful conversation for you to watch. Let me know how you feel in the comments. But anyways, back to the video.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
And I kind of want to start more at the beginning of things because I don't think a lot of people really understand where you come from. You know, you sort of just appeared on the internet with the Boogie Doc and we just sort of like embraced it. So can you give me a little bit of your origin story?
Yeah, I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio, or Westlake, Ohio, and normal childhood. And then I went to college and I met a guy. His name's Austin Mace. Shout out Austin Mace. And he got me into video production because he had a video production company. And I was looking, after high school, you don't get into sports or whatever. Or, I wasn't going to be like a professional golfer. I was on like the golf team. And so I was like looking for my next big thing. And I was doing like comedy videos just for fun on Facebook. But when my friend Austin was doing this video production company, I'm like, that's what I want to do. So I dropped out of Miami University, moved home to Cleveland, and I started directing music videos for like bands and rappers. And then I started, after that, got into like corporate videos, like commercials, like kind of corporate documentaries for businesses. And I just built my own business. So for about 15 years, I built a company. And it became successful and did thousands of clients around the world, really. And, I'm an entrepreneur, so I was always like loved entertainment. And so I would invest into different YouTube channels with my friends or different comedy ventures or just different things that were interesting. I actually one time made a parody documentary.
Oh,
So I made a parody documentary around the worst Walmart in America.
Okay.
which is in Cleveland, Ohio. It's literally the worst way. It's called the Steelyard Walmart. And so I didn't, the documentary was so shitty, I didn't know how to make documentaries yet. So I just made a trailer to it, to a fake documentary.
Got it.
And that blew up. And so and it was very popular around my city. It was on the news and stuff. So I always kind of knew like, hey, if I ever got into content creation, like seriously, or just whatever, documentaries or something in that vein. So enough time had passed. I was bored and wanted to do something for fun in 2022. And that's when I hit up Boogie after hitting up a bunch of people like, hey, let's do a documentary. So it was kind of a function of just building a business. I was a little bored and got into it.
And you weren't like an internet endemic in terms of lolcow notoriety. You know, you didn't really, did you really like know the space beforehand?
No, it would have honestly been, I hit up so many different types of people and things. My channel could have gone in so many different directions. I was talking to like rappers, like I remember I got in touch with like Lil B, the rapper, right? He's like a bass god. There was different people I was trying to do. So the channel could have gone like a ton of different ways. It just happened to be Boogie was the one that got back to me, and it came together. And then from there, the EDP thing kind of came naturally. So I'm not like some kind of internet drama or YouTube drama like fiend. Although it's fun, I kind of like think it's the goofy and kind of dumb, but it's something fun to do. But it wasn't like my dream.
I think
intention.
that's what's been so interesting to kind of watch you go into this space, because you were fairly normie beforehand, and then you were sort of thrust into what I consider to be one of the most degenerate spaces on the internet,
Yeah.
which is lolcow coverage, you know?
Yeah.
How did you kind of like, I guess, deal with all of the nonsense and weirdness that comes with that world?
You know, it was weird. I did like there's two types of people that have Discord and people that don't have Discord.
Yes.
And I had no idea what Discord was. Well, you know, I was just doing corporate business, right? You do Google meetings, you meet people. I didn't really know what the word dox meant. And it's like now everyone's just doxing this, and doxing is like the worst thing of all time. And so I would ask for people's number, and they're like, "No, I can't. I'm not gonna dox my." I'm like, "Whoa." Anyway, so it is kind of weird. I think I was just trying to have fun. Ultimately, that was it. There was I knew I was not gonna make any money, just because the second you start to like pay for crew and do things, you gotta just like doing it. And so yeah, it was weird, but it's a good balance to my life. You know, like you get bored just doing all these kind of professional things, and then you get to go chill with Boogie 298. It kind of balances your perspective on the different types of people on the planet.
There's the normal folks who, you know, go about their day to day, and then you spend a day with Boogie in the bathtub, and
it gives you a better, wider perspective on life and people, and yeah, I mean, just something fun to do to distract me, I guess, you know.
I guess, yeah, what has this like internet world kind of taught you about like your understanding? Because I think with, you know, I cover the internet.
Yeah.
I spend a lot of time on it, and most of it is completely invisible. Unless you're in the niche and the horrible of it all, you really don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
And suddenly one day that curtain is pulled away from you, and you see all of this, what I kind of feel can be a bit nonsense going on.
Well, it's also very meaningless, right? Like Boogie 2988, for example, is just a random guy. There's like tons of people like him on this planet, like, you know, out of shape, kind of goofy, kind of man-child types. It's just he happened to be popular, so it sort of represents a theme. But him and of himself it's not a serious thing. And so I think that was what was fun about doing these, and is just that it's all very unserious. I'm not making like a, you know, Israel-Palestine film, right? I mean, that has a lot more consequence, and you know, it is a serious topic, right? But you know, Boogie and some of these other things are kind of fun, but I could see myself venturing into other things.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's not that like strategic for me. I just happen to do the Boogie documentary, and then I just happen to do the EDP one. I could do something on kind of anything as long as I feel like I'm having fun and it's just something that I want to do.
Yeah. I think it's really interesting you mentioned the word, you know, seriousness.
Yeah.
And I think you know, when you think of the EDP story,
Yeah.
I kind of view it as a serious topic.
Yeah.
You know, it's
About a serious theme.
it's about a serious theme about, you know,
He is a very unserious person and subject within that theme, right? If I did a documentary about Jeffrey Epstein, I'd say I'm taking a different tone. I've been taking a different sort of approach. I may not even do it unless there's some really compelling reason to do it, because it may not be something that I want to do. EDP, while it's part of the same sort of overarching theme, it's a much less serious sort of subject in terms of their actual influence and personality and sort of the factors at play. So I kind of kept that in mind. And when I went into the EDP, I knew it would be different than Boogie, because what did the worst thing that Boogie did? He shot a gun in the air at some guy and, like, use it a bathtub, stupid joke about something on live stream. So that was, but when EDP, it's like, all right, well, it is a goofy sort of character, but it's part of a more serious theme. So I tried to take um, a more critical tone and approach, but still I felt was a fit for what I was interested in.
Yeah. I think balancing the seriousness of the topic with the goofiness that is EDP, because objectively, EDP built his following by doing sketches and like improv comedy. Like he was funny if you like that sort of shit. So when you're kind of dealing with that sort of thing, how, when you went into this project, did you try to balance the seriousness of covering a PDF file with the goofiness of a man obsessed with the Philadelphia Eagles?
Um, well, I just tried to be honest. I mean, and I tried to parlay the facts as I experienced them, right? Um, and I tried to show all the aspects of him, for better for worse, that I thought were genuine to the reality of who he is,
Uh-huh.
and give him an opportunity to share that, as well as me to give my perspective on what that is. And I think that's what it is in the end. I mean, there's him winning the Super Bowl. See him watching the Super Bowl, see him talking about, WWE and the Eagles and how he sort of in his childhood and things.
Yeah.
So, and giving him opportunity even to talk shit about people. It's been such a part of his perspective, is how strongly he feels in the positive towards some people and negative. So I just tried to document all of him, for better for worse, in a way that proportionally reflected uh like how much he actually thinks about these types of things.
Yeah. And I think like there's a lot of conversation about the doc online. And I think one of the more common criticisms that I've seen is that platforming EDP at all is considered taboo. You are basically introducing this guy to a larger audience in the same way how you would not have known Boogie existed. You're not sending out. And now people are getting that same thing towards EDP. So when kind of making this thing and seeing it out in the world, how do you kind of, deal with that criticism?
Uh, I don't think this is a statement of facts, right? I don't necessarily think it's a criticism. It depends on what is the outcome of said platform, and is, to the extent the platform honest and document reality.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think anything telling the truth about certain things and the reality. Maybe there's times that can go wrong. I guess my question to you would be: you saw it.
Yeah.
Does it improve his life? With your EDP, would you have made this documentary?
If I was EDP, I would not have made this.
So, I mean, to the extent anyone that would make that criticism, I would ask them, hey, do you think it was a good idea to do? And why wouldn't you have made it?
I think it is super hard as someone who covers the internet to balance the line between giving these people the attention they want and critically analyzing them. Because I have seen throughout, even when I cover Asmongold or, Onision or any of these sort of like internet personalities, that you are giving them the attention they want, ergo you are platform boosting them. But the way I view it is that if you are not paying attention to these people, they are just going to grow bigger and bigger and bigger. Like Asmongold has been able to kind of fester in this space and grow as big as he is because people just kind of treated him as a World of Warcraft creator, not as one of the largest political creators on the internet. So when making a piece, you kind of have to balance between being critical of it while also understanding that there are going to be people who view this as an attack on their favorite creator and platform boost it into a stratosphere you can't expect. So with EDP specifically, you kind of like the documentary, I feel like, and I've told you this privately, journalistically, it's all over the place. I guess that would be the question, is like, were you trying to do journalism?
Um, I was trying to. I met him.
Mhm.
I learned a lot about him. And then I made a documentary that reflected everything that I learned and the things that I felt were important to uh, ask him about. And I included the things that ultimately were interest. I wasn't doing a science paper, right? If I ask him about something and he answers it in some way that doesn't work in the edit, I'm not including it. So it's a combination of telling the truth,
Yeah.
explaining because I experienced him for a long time before we even started filming. So documenting what I felt was reality, and then using the footage that actually told a story that made any sense. So yeah, whether or not that's journalism, I think that's you could tell me or not, but I mean I think that yeah, I told the truth. I made it entertaining, and I tried to confront him and or document the things that I felt were
Yeah.
important.
I think the hardest part with journalism in general is that entertaining aspect.
Yeah.
Because journalism, by its blandest degree, is not supposed to be entertaining.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be informative. It's supposed to explain a subject for what it is. But in the way the algorithms have destroyed journalism is because people want entertainment. They are not going algorithmically to find stuff that is like they want to be entertained. That's what they're looking. That's what the algorithms recommend. And that's why journalism has basically gone in a slow death march over the past decade. So trying to get something that people want to watch while following traditional journalistic norms, they're kind of in direct contrast with each other. And I feel like when I watched the EDP documentary, I was very intrigued and horrified, which are emotions. It's not something that journalism is really supposed to do, I guess.
Yeah.
But like, I still think it has a lot of merit and intrigue to it. It's just, again, when people hear the word documentary, I think they're expecting like David Attenborough,
Sure.
people sitting and watching and just like analyzing for what it is.
Yeah.
But I don't think that can exist in that way on YouTube.
Maybe. I mean, there's the biggest documentary on YouTube in YouTube history is actually, I believe, it's the PBS Frontline.
Oh, yeah.
And so there's documentaries. There's a whole range. You got PBS, and then wherever you want to put me relative to PBS. I mean, you can exist in a whole range of sort of styles and tones. So I don't think that uh, I don't think that I think there's a lot of factors. How good you are editing the subject itself, right? If you get access to, you know, some incredible thing and you do a very, very science style film, it can still do very well. Um, but no, I would disagree. I think people look at PBS Frontline.
Yeah.
They're doing very sort of grounded academic type content, and they do huge numbers on YouTube.
I guess the thing is, what is a documentary on YouTube?
Yeah.
Is kind of the conversation that we're having. And like, to me, you mentioned PBS, which is like a traditional media conglomerate. But I think when you look at the documentaries made by YouTubers,
Yeah.
they are more sensational, I guess, than the traditional. And that's the stuff that tends to do the best. Just because, again, I feel like the algorithm rewards absurdity.
Yeah, or clickbait or whatever it is. Yeah.
So I guess when you were making this project, how important for you was to get those clippable moments?
I don't really know. I just tried to get what I thought was interesting and was the truth. If it fit the bucket of accurate and truthful to reality, nonfiction, right? And it was interesting. Whether that was interesting in like 6 seconds or interesting over 20 minutes, as long as it checked both those boxes, I was all game.
Yeah. So you showed those YouTubers poo just because you wanted to?
I think it's interesting, right?
Sure.
I mean, it's whether or not it's like highbrow, kind of like it's not going in any science journal. But I'm doing this because I'm bored and I want to do something for fun and to kind of fill out my life and have some fun.
Yeah.
And find other people that think that is fun and interesting. And so certainly if I was yeah.
I think what I find with a lot of creators in general is they don't take their work as seriously as the audience does.
Yeah.
Like I interviewed Oompaville about his interview with Mr. Beast, which is a massive, massive thing that happened because Mr. Beast was able to answer all of these controversies. And when I spoke to Oompaville about it, he was like, I just did an interview. Like, I just did it because it was here. The audience and the way it was kind of, the way it was kind of consumed was more serious than the creator making it.
Yeah.
And I guess when you make art, it's sort of out of your hands. It just sort of be like the world can do with it as they need.
Yeah.
So when you like again see how serious the audience was kind of taking it, and again the criticisms that like you're platforming a PDF file and that you are kind of giving EDP a new lease on life. That's what I've seen.
I mean, you could say that. I'm not sure. If you did that film, would you come out feel like, I've got a great lease on? What would you do right now if you were EDP? 1 week out, the documentary has released. Do you feel you have a new lease on life?
I would feel that more people are paying attention to me than they have in
Good
years.
attention? Do you like that?
But here's the thing, good or bad attention, it doesn't matter.
Does it?
I don't think it does. I think in the same way that Boogie got bad attention for the doc. It was objectively grosser. But like you reinvigorated his career. He went on Lolcow Live and was able to gather an audience based off your doc.
Sure.
So whether it's good or bad attention, the attention economy doesn't care as long as people are paying attention to you.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of people that gain attention for positive and negative things.
Yeah.
Whether it's Luigi Mangione or Jeffrey Epstein, even before he died, right? I mean, so I don't think the attention in and of itself is a critique. It's just what is the type of attention, and then ultimately what does that attention lead to? And I think that if I made the EDP documentary and now he gets, signed to like a sitcom as the lead role, okay, if that happens, we can regroup and I will, rescind. But I don't think that's going to happen. In fact, I think there's a whole other range of other things that could or would happen that would not be in that vein. So I understand people's concern, but I don't think that it's even remotely likely that anything of that nature would occur.
Yeah. Again, I think the negative attention is what he will get. Have you spoken to EDP since the documentary?
Yeah, I have. I think we were texting during the premiere.
Okay.
He was just messaging me stuff that had nothing to do with. So this is a guy that copes with reality in a whole range of ways. Obviously, he has to. Look, in 2021 when he was caught, or even exposed in 2020 by Cold Raven, then 2021 caught, 2023 caught again, lost his YouTube channel, so got kidney failure.
Yep.
So there's so many things that happened to this guy. His ability to find unique, off-the-wall ways to cope with things that are should otherwise be very negative. So he was, I don't know exactly what he thought, honestly, because it's hard to get his thoughts on things like that. But I think, yeah, we have stayed in touch a little bit less even this last week, and I'm not going to block him or anything, but it's certainly a complicated type of thing.
Yeah, I mean, he admits to crimes in it. There's people who tell him not to do it.
Yeah.
That interview with his therapist
Yep.
is why?
Sure.
But like all of this stuff, and I guess EDP is just kind of dealing with it. I guess I will transition a little bit to another character in the doc, Gideon.
Yeah.
Gideon has kind of faced his whole little bit of cancellation
Yeah.
over his doc.
Yeah.
Like, how have you felt about Gideon's response? Going into the doc, how did Gideon kind of understand it?
Well, I obviously interviewed Gideon, and I had shown most people the doc before it went live out of respect of like, hey, this is what's coming, just so you're aware. There was no edits. Gideon knew everything. I think that he, in good faith, took the criticism that was posed in the documentary. How is he handling it after? I think the important thing for him, whether or not how he's handling it, he's going to do predator catching content, probably regardless, right? What really matters, if you zoom out, is that, hey, in 2023, when he did the catch with EDP versus now, has he made meaningful improvements, and will the documentary lead to even more meaningful improvements in the way he goes about his content? And I think it has. Yeah. I think if you look at that catch versus the stuff he's doing now, he's like, while it has a little bit more of a sensational thumbnails or whatever, he's still Gideon at the end of the day. He's a content creator. He's gotten way better. He's actually getting people convicted. He's catching people. And these are people that have, CSAM on their phone. These are people that with much more serious, more criminally implicatable evidence. So I think he's made a lot of improvement. I think the documentary looked back at a time where he was his very first and even parlay into this.
Mhm.
And I think that's what matters. And now, if after this documentary, he was, you know, going and working with minors and
Yeah.
it's like, whoa, bro, what's going on?
Yeah.
But I think that he has made improvements, and I think he'll continue to do that.
Yeah, and then I wanna get back to the predator poaching of it all, but I just wanna go off the Gideon thing and go to Kayla,
Yeah.
you know? Interviewing her and kind of speaking about her story. She's also kind of had a life after the documentary. You can kinda give me a little of your thoughts on that.
Well, um, I believe I reached out to her naturally, right? I mean, like, why would you not kind of let her share her side? We had a Zoom call. Her manager, uh, at in 2024, and then we had done 2 filming bits with her mom, and myself and my crew. We filmed twice, and the manager was there, so she was well acquainted, and there were enough people around her to help make that decision to do it. And then from what I've seen of what she's put out, she was pleased with the documentary and felt that I handled things
Yeah.
professionally, and ultimately gave her a platform to share her perspective.
Yeah.
Now, what you want to say about her perspective, like Judeon can say what he wants, and it's a free world to say whatever you want. But I gave her that opportunity to share, and I think that's a good thing.
Was she still a minor when you interviewed her?
Yeah, she was probably 16
Oh, wow.
when we did the interviewing. 15 when she first messaged EDP, or her and EDP were messaging,
Yeah.
and 16 when we were interviewed.
I think interviewing minors in general is kind of a risque thing to do
Yeah,
just because again, it gets into really complicated ethical territory.
yeah.
Like I remember, Matan, the
Of course, Matan Evan.
I was one of the first interviews he ever did right after the Game Awards. Never used it because my editors were uncomfortable
Yeah.
using a minor's interview without parental consent.
Yeah.
So again, when
Well, Matan's a whole nother world.
yeah, exactly.
I mean, this is person.
Yeah.
This is a very special person.
Absolutely. It's an entirely beast entirely. But again, when kind of interviewing a minor, what are some of the, ethical boundaries slash limitations slash rules you're trying to follow to make sure you're kind of doing it above board?
Well, the mom was in the room,
Okay.
and all. I mean, there was never a moment I'm with Kayla without,
Mhm.
the mom, and she's hearing all the questions, and just having a genuine conversation. I mean, and it's like anything, if in any type of conversation, if you kind of feel that they're feeling, you could sense whether it's body language or and you kind of move into topics, you know, slowly. And if you're starting to feel that there's hesitation,
Yeah.
you pull back and you include the parents, and I think that's all you can do.
Yeah. I think and also in the Kayla section, there's the list,
Sure.
which, I had criticisms of originally. And I've seen a lot of people not understand its inclusion. You explained it to me, so I kind of get it. But can you explain what the list is and why it was used?
Well, we did a hour-long interview, and she said a lot of different things, and I wanted a way to put the things that she said in the film without kind of extending 15, 20 minutes. So I made a list and scrolled down the screen.
Yeah. And back to predator hunting of it all, because I have been a very vocal hater of Chris Hansen for many years. I am a proud Chris Hansen hater.
Okay.
And I feel like predator hunting content in general focuses more on the spectacle rather than trying to solve a problem in the world. It's not about making sure these predators go away, as has been seen with your documentary and the Skeeter Gene and Alex Rosen things failing. But it's only risen in popularity. And I don't like, how do you feel about predator hunting? Because I don't know if your documentary gets any sort of thought about predator hunting as a concept down.
It's content, and whether I like it or not. I mean, I don't like I don't watch the UFC.
Mhm.
It doesn't do it for me, right? I don't fighting. So like I have feelings about all types of content, whether I like it or not. And it's going to happen whether I like it or not. And that's how I see predator catching is it is a function of reality. Unless you're going to make it illegal to do that, it exists. And Downstream of it existing, I think it's content I watch. It's compelling. Is there a spectrum of ethics that you can approach it? Absolutely. On one extreme, you've got people that literally they just catch the guy, and they show up and then like attack him, or in some cases, it's not even someone that was is has any criminal implication, or maybe if they do, it's they didn't even know that they were coming for sexual purposes. It was literally social, and so that would be like least purposeful. Now, it does sort of probably embarrass the person and maybe they don't do something bad again, but it is purely spectacle.
Yeah.
And then you have, kind of the second bucket, which is somebody like a, kind of a, let's say a Skeeter Jean character, where he's making a spectacle. He's putting on a sleep outfit in a hotel, or he's giving people cars from Kamala Harris and he's putting their dick pic inside the car.
Yeah.
But when he gets it and he captures it all, he calls the police and the police show up, and many times they do arrest and convict him. And then you've got Gideon and Alex Rosen, who are showing up, playing good cop, really kind of eloquently pulling out information, still trying to get views, but they're really working in such a way that is less spectacle, probably than Skeeter, but is more likely to pull out information like, do you have Telegram? What do you do on Telegram? Are those guys sending you that crap on And it creates a safe environment where they're sharing stuff they wouldn't have otherwise shared, and often leads to CSAM convictions and different things. And then you have Chris Hansen, who I know you are a hater of. I love Chris Hansen, and he works with the police from the beginning. And he's basically doing journalism and co-catching people as a function of documenting police activity, which he's probably the only one in the country that can do that because he has the brand. He's got a suit. He's the original person that's created this genre. So if you're Skeeter Jean or you're Alex Rosen, you call a police department to do a sting operation.
Yeah.
It's kind of it's a different brand, right? Alex is out there doing his thing. Skeeter is doing his thing.
Yeah.
Not all police don't hate those guys. More and more police departments are aware of Gideon and Alex and Skeeter, and they're sort of respectful more and more.
Yeah.
But they're not at the level of Chris Hansen where they can really get in and work from the police from the beginning.
Yeah.
So if you want to criticize predator catching, you've got to look at the whole spectrum and say, all right, well, if it's going to exist, what's my line? Do I not like any of it? Okay, maybe for some people that's the case, but maybe I'm okay with some of it. I just don't like a certain line that some people cross. And so I don't think it's a whole, the same way that people that do police are not a whole, right? There's police that get into it for bad motivations, to have power and to, hurt people or go after certain groups of people. So I don't throw all the police into one bucket. There's different types of policing, and I have criticisms for the specific individuals and, the specific cohorts of policing styles.
I think the spectacle of it all, being meshed together with the seriousness of it all, is kind of where I find the most interesting conversation to be had. Because again, because of the algorithms and the way we consume media, spectacle and serious just go hand in hand. So how have you kind of seen, again, trying to pair serious subjects that need to be handled, predators are bad and should be caught, with, again, the sort of need for these things to kind of be seen through the absurdity of it all, Gideon showing up in a cupcake shirt.
Yeah.
How does that kind of impact the world we live in?
Well, I think in my view, at the very least, the world is slightly better with this content existing than if none of it existed.
Okay.
And there's certainly ways it could be better. There's probably different types of people that shouldn't be doing it at all. But all in all, it's still a better world with it here. I mean, you've got billions of views that are making it more aware that, hey, if you do this, this is a bad thing. That's a huge advertisement to people that are thinking about, interacting with a child, for sex or for sexting or anything. So a massive, advertising in a sense. And these people literally do catch individuals that are committing very serious crimes, right? So now does the spectacle kind of create stranger danger, or, could it be done with a more academic approach or whatever? Sure. But all in all, even if it's 51-49, the world is slightly better with predator catcher.
And there are a bunch of YouTubers who show up for cameos.
Yeah.
It seemed almost superfluous and unnecessary just from a viewing standpoint. Why are they in there?
Oh, in the documentary?
Yeah.
Well, for a whole range of reasons. One, it's interesting, right? I mean, that's primarily. Also, it's fun to film with many of them, and
Yeah.
they were personal connections of mine, and it felt interesting, right? The same way, I knew you is like, hey, this is interesting, right? I'm telling a story. It's interesting to get more people involved in telling that story. And the nature of that, the last scene where you cut to a lot of different creators, whether people are like, Charlie in particular was a big part of the EDP story. I mean, they're like, oh, what does he have to do with it? He was he was the largest commentator that was at the spearhead of documenting this to millions and millions of people. So he was very relevant within that. But then when you got into, obviously even like Boogie or Wings of Redemption or Chris Chan, it's like, well, why are these people in? What is the entry of that scene? Boogie or EDP is one of the most universally hated individuals in internet history or in the world. And so to me, I thought it was interesting. All right, obviously somebody like Mudahar
Yeah.
is going to say that EDP is not a good guy.
Yeah.
Okay, well, if he's universally hated, what does a guy like, Wings of Redemption even say, or Boogie, or even in the case of Chris Chan? So I thought it added a layer of it gave a more comprehensive sort of insight to who this person is and what their reputation is on the internet.
Got it.
Because whether you like it or not, Wings of Redemption is a part of the internet culture.
Yep.
And his people like him and his voice, create opinion. So, yeah.
And right before that in the video is the interview with the pedophile, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Tonally, it seemed a little odd. I've told you this, that it's kind of like we're going goofy, horrifying, actual another pedophile in this documentary. Why did you think why did you feel it was important to include?
I felt it was interesting. It was very compelling to meet someone, obviously like that, and to learn and try to empathize with them. Obviously, it's difficult. You're sitting with someone that says, hey, I'm interested in 5-year-olds. I've never done anything. And they were a parent. They have children. I don't know if they're in that age group, but presumably they were at some point, right? And so I wanted to get a person that was a pedophile to give their commentary on EDP.
Yeah.
Because I thought that creates interesting conversation, right? About the nature of attraction. Is EDP a bad guy because he acted on it or because of who he is? And I thought that interviewing this individual created a interesting distinction that could, garner discussion about the nuance of what makes EDP, where their critique lies.
Yeah.
And in the case of this individual, well, they're attracted to people that EDP is also attracted to in terms of the age group, but at least they claim they haven't acted on it. And if you think about the documentary, let's say it gets 5 million views or 10 million, whatever it gets, there literally will be hundreds of thousands of people, statistically, that are watching this. Tomorrow they can go act on their attraction or not. And so I felt that it created an interesting angle, if nothing else, for people that were attracted to minors. When they see that section, they can go, oh shit, maybe I can go online and look for resources to better myself and to not partake in unethical, immoral, criminal activity.
I think the part of that, because again, what is the poop scene come like right before that, is the tone.
A few,
Like the tone of the doc has been my kind of biggest criticism of it. Is that it kind of feels sometimes like a circus freak show, and sometimes like you're really trying to get into the nitty gritty of the human psyche. Interviewing these pedophiles and the psychiatrists, right? The psychiatrist, or that is. So like, when you're kind of like putting this thing together with all of these Lego pieces, what in your mind is how are you trying to make all of these, again, all of these different sides fit together to make something coherent that people want to watch?
No, I'm just trying to reflect the reality I experience. EDP445 is a multifaceted, kind of confusing person as it is. It's kind of, what's the word you said?
Circus freak show?
Is that not exactly what we're talking about here? I mean, at one height, he's hilarious. He's making a list of his favorite porn stars. The next moment, he's, you know, doing,
Yeah.
allegedly criminal activity, whatever. So I just tried to reflect what I experienced with him and sort of create a vibe that reflected what it's like to get to know this individual.
Yeah.
But also, I'm sort of, you know, part of me is like, all right, let's say me, you, a few other guys were sitting around, we're having a conversation about this type of topic. We're not sitting with notepads and beakers, and we're going between something, maybe we're joking, and then maybe we're going to something more serious, and we're bouncing around and having a conversation and telling each other these stories about this topic in a way that we can actually want to get through, right?
Yeah.
So I think it was reflective of who EDP is, and also reflective of the tone that I felt was appropriate to the audience watching this.
Yeah.
And I never claimed that, hey, this is a scientific study about, attraction, right? This is a documentary about EDP445, a guy that takes shit pics and does all these goofy things. So I just tried to be honest with the topic and what it was, while still respective of the broader, more serious tones that needed to be addressed.
I think the nuanced nature of that conversation is something that just doesn't happen online. People are, again, splurting out single to multi-tier sentences or even essays about how they hate a certain idea. And they're not willing to have a deeper conversation on what this content means. And that's what I've really liked about the conversation around your doc, even if some of it, I don't want to say a lot, that's not fair.
So you love the every.
I would say I love it. Again, it's a circus freak show that I find fascinating. But I think a lot of people aren't willing to kind of engage with it outside of good or bad.
Yeah. Whatever. I don't. That's why I'm not replying. I mean, I love that a lot of people don't love it. Some people don't like it. And that's why there's tons of different channels on YouTube and different styles and different genres of sort of even documentation. And so I think it's great that there's good public discourse. Whether you like it or not, it does kind of create conversations, and I think it's fun.
Yeah. So I asked my community a few questions. If you'd like to, I mean, I'd never get an interview with Mike. I mean, I might. Who knows? I don't know if he hates me too much after this.
Oh.
But if you want, I post stuff like this constantly on my YouTube channel and my Twitter. But the first question that I got is, I want to know why he would go on Ethan Klein's platform to talk about the video.
Well, he asked me to come on, and it's Ethan Klein. I think he's a legendary YouTube content creator. Is totally overlaps this kind of type of audience, and just sort of made sense.
Gotcha. I'd ask what he thinks he accomplished here.
I don't think I don't even know if I accomplished anything. I mean, I uploaded a YouTube video. It was reasonably fun. I don't know if I would do this one again. I'm sure it accomplished a whole range of things for different types of people. And I think time will tell what it ultimately accomplishes, if anything.
If they had confessions from EDP to actual crimes, including possession of CSAM, why is he not in jail?
Well, I don't know. I'm not either a lawyer nor am I law enforcement, and so I can't really give you any insightful answer.
What does he say to critics who say he's an opportunist?
I mean, I've not seen much of that criticism. I'm an opportunist. I don't really know. I guess I just hit up a bunch of people and to do documentaries, and EDP was one of the few that got back to me, and then he was one of them that I did. So I guess if that's an opportunist, I'm not sure.
And last two, why did he think putting a child in the same room as EDP was in any way necessary for a documentary about a predator?
Yeah, I don't think it was necessary. I actually didn't arrange that or want it necessarily to happen. We were filming with his friend, and the friend sort of drove in from hours away, and unbeknownst to me had brought a child that I didn't even know about. And so the child sitting in the car, we're filming the interview, and it occurred to me, oh wait, shit, this child is here. This was our first day, by the way, filming with EDP. And so as we were wrapping up the interview with him, I naturally asked him, oh, well, is your kid safe around EDP? Because it just kind of came into my head.
Yeah.
And he, obviously, the answer's in the film. And so it's like, all right, I guess what do we do now? I guess we're gonna all go in. Let me, have the kid sit in this hot car outside. And so I just made sure to document everything and film everything. Obviously, the parent was there. It was very uncomfortable, but the reason I kept it in, not because it was necessary. I mean, there'd be a world that it wasn't there, but it did happen, right?
Yeah.
A child came in this filming environment, and I felt that, all right, I could not include it because it's uncomfortable, but I think that that's all the reason to include it because it's the reality,
Yeah.
right? There, number one, there was a kid around EDP in EDP's room while we're filming in the living room, which is, very kind of, uncomfortable at face value. And I guess it helps people understand that whether you like it or not, this is someone that is a free man in the United States that can be around kids however they, if and when they want.
Yeah.
I didn't sort of, he's not an actor. I didn't sort of call this up. I would have never done that. That would be, I think, you could critique me for that. I just filmed what happened. And then I included photos that were sort of redacted and whatever, and the child that was blurred to help you even understand that, hey, this is not something I coordinated.
Yeah.
This is something that he has access to. So I think a lot of people, any frustration at me, I could understand if it could be taken out of context. So if I coordinated this or it's an actor or something. But I think that people are frustrated with the fact that he is free or has access to children. And probably I get a little bit of the frustration that they're feeling. And I think it's totally healthy to feel that. But I think you should direct it in ways that towards someone that can do something about it, right? I just documented what happened and filmed things as it occurred because that's ultimately my job in this context.
Yeah. And last one, is he worried he's created a sympathetic portrait of EDP?
Do you have sympathy for him?
I don't think it's created sympathetic portrait to me.
Yeah.
I think you humanized him in a way, which is always a complicated thing to do in work about a controversial human being.
Yeah.
Because I think when we view the worst people in society, we tend to totemize them, where we view them as their worst attributes, so it's easier to hate.
Yeah.
When you start to see a person for who they really are, when you see them get a girlfriend, when you see them talk about the people they hate, it starts to see them more as people, and we can grow sympathy with them.
Yeah.
And that is always difficult. But to me, I think it's worthwhile.
Yeah.
I think understanding the worst people in the world is something that we need to do more of. Like when I made my Asmongold video, one of the most constant criticisms I got was I don't care about the people who watch Asmongold because either they're dumb or, I don't like them. But like, because you are able to kind of push them away and not care about them, that's how they are able to grow and fester. The reason we're kind of dealing with this antisocial society that people are just, again, we're not connecting, there's no more third spaces, is we're becoming more and more insulated and starting to relate less and less with the people around us. So when we see a piece of media that humanizes someone we view as awful, it makes a lot of us feel bad on the inside for having any empathy towards someone who is a monster. And I think that's what makes art good, is enough that makes you think. And objectively, your documentary makes people think. The fact that it's had this much conversation and people caring is because people are thinking about things they don't want to think about. And I think that's where the real value in your documentary lies, is that people are having conversations, they're leaving their echo chambers and having to embrace an idea of objectively a horrible fucking human being has normal days.
Yeah.
And what happens when you see those normal days? You have to try to vilify. You have to try to come to terms with it. And again, the criticisms that we've talked about in this, regardless, I still think you did a good job telling this story, this fucked up fucking circus freak show of a story. But you did it in a way that kept people's attention. If you didn't, people wouldn't watch or still be talking about it. So for that, I give you your give you your graces, roses? I don't know.
Well, I appreciate it. And I thank you for being in it because you had the only major outlet that really covered this when you did the piece for Business Insider. And so when I was doing research to figure out people to get involved, I hit you up and we had already connected from the Boogie Dog or whatever. So you provide the interview, although I only got you 6 seconds was just as much as everyone else really got. So you know, we did plenty of filming for 6 seconds. So I appreciate you being in it, and I think it gave a broader perspective than it would have if you weren't in it. So
I've had people I hadn't talked to in years reach out, being like, "I saw you in the EDP
there
tower,"
we go.
and I'm like,
Still back together.
"Yeah, I cover weird stuff on the internet, and the EDP story was just sort of a blip
Yeah.
that came around it." And you know, I'm glad I was able to have the story kind of come back from the dead. But also I never want to fucking think about it again.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Even for me, I'm
Yeah.
moving on. You know, you make something cool and find something new to do that's fun and interesting. So I don't know what that'll be, but
Yeah.
we'll see.
So I guess wrapping up, what is next for Mike?
I don't know. I'm gonna see if there's interesting stuff. I got a lot of different projects I work on, and I'm sure there'll be more stuff for YouTube. Maybe some stuff for other platforms, but um, I don't know yet.
Yeah.
So.
Well, thank you so much for being on this random park bench. If any of you in the comments feel I missed a bunch of questions, please yell them in the comments. Maybe Mike will answer. Who knows? Anything's possible with more park benches. But again, thanks for watching. This is Stephen A. Such Talks. Bye.